the door that almost closed forever. My name is Charles, and I am 65 years old. I never thought that the most painful words I would hear in my old age would come from the doorstep of my own son's house. But that evening, standing outside with a small gift in my hand and hope in my heart, my daughter-in-law looked me straight in the eyes and said, "No, you're not invited. Go away." Those words didn't just close a door. They almost closed a family forever. The night I thought would bring us together. It was a chilly Saturday evening when I drove across town to my son Daniel's house. The sky was slowly turning orange as the sun disappeared behind the trees. I remember gripping the steering wheel a little tighter than usual, feeling both nervous and excited. You see, Daniel and I hadn't been close for a long time. Not because I didn't love him, but because life has a strange way of building walls between people who once meant everything to each other. I had heard through my sister that Daniel and his wife Emily were hosting a family dinner. My grandchildren were going to be there, along with a few relatives. No one had directly invited me, but I told myself something simple. Maybe they forgot. Maybe this dinner was the moment everything would finally heal. So I stopped at a bakery and bought a small chocolate cake. It was Daniel's favorite when he was a child. I still remembered how his face used to light up when he saw chocolate frosting. Some memories never fade. I also bought small toy cars for my two grandsons. I had never really gotten the chance to know them. Life, distance, and pride had kept us apart. But that night I hoped things would change. I truly believed they would. The walk to the door. When I arrived, the house looked warm and alive. Lights glowed through the windows, and I could hear laughter inside. For a moment, I just sat in the car. My heart was pounding like I was a young man about to knock on someone's door for the first time. "Come on, Charles," I muttered to myself. "They're family." I stepped out of the car and walked up the driveway. Each step carried both hope and fear. I rang the doorbell. A few seconds later, the door opened. But it was Daniel. It was Emily, my daughter-in-law. She looked surprised to see me, and the smile she gave me was thin, forced, and cold. The words that broke my heart. "Charles," she said, crossing her arms, "what are you doing here?" Her tone immediately made my chest tighten. "I heard about the dinner," I said gently. "I thought maybe I could join you all. I brought cake." I lifted the box slightly, hoping it would soften the moment. Instead, Emily sighed. Then she said the words I will never forget. "No, you're not invited. Go away." Just like that. No hesitation. No kindness. No respect. Behind her, I could hear laughter and the sound of plates clinking. My family was just a few feet away. But suddenly, I felt like a stranger. I stood there silently for a few seconds, trying to process what had just happened. "Emily," I said quietly, "I'm Daniel's father." "I know who you are," she replied, "but this is a family dinner." Those words cut deeper than anything else, because they implied something terrible. That I wasn't family anymore. A lifetime of memories. As I stood there, 1,000 memories rushed through my mind. I remembered holding Daniel for the first time in the hospital. I remembered teaching him how to ride a bike. I remembered staying up all night helping him with school projects. I remembered working 2 jobs just to give him opportunities I never had. After his mother passed away when he was 16, it had just been the two of us. We were supposed to be unbreakable. But somewhere along the road, things changed. When Daniel married Emily, we slowly drifted apart. Small misunderstandings turned into silence. Silence turned into distance. Distance turned into years. But no matter how far apart we were, he was still my son. And I was still his father. Or at least I thought I was. The moment everything changed. As Emily began closing the door, something inside me finally spoke. "Wait," I said. She paused. "Just tell Daniel I came," I said quietly. She shrugged. "Fine." Then she shut the door. I stood there on the porch for a moment, holding the cake box. The night air suddenly felt colder. I turned around and slowly walked back to my car. Halfway down the driveway, I heard the door open again. "Dad." I froze. I turned around. Daniel was standing there, seeing my son again. For a moment, we just stared at each other. He looked older than I remembered. Lines had formed around his eyes. His hair had begun turning gray. But he was still my boy. "Why are you leaving?" he asked. I hesitated. "I wasn't invited," I said. His expression changed. "What?" I glanced toward the house. "Emily told me to go." Daniel looked shocked. He walked down the driveway toward me. "Dad, I didn't know you were coming." "I figured," I said with a small smile, "but I thought maybe it was time." I handed him the cake. "This was always your favorite." He looked at the box, then back at me. For a moment, I thought he might cry. The truth comes out. Daniel took a deep breath. "Dad," he said slowly, "why didn't you just call me?" I shrugged. "Pride, I guess." We stood there quietly for a moment. Then he said something that changed everything. "Emily thought you didn't want to be part of our lives." My heart sank. "That's not true. She said you never reached out." "I didn't know how," I admitted. Sometimes the biggest distance between people is made of misunderstandings. Years of silence had built a story that wasn't even real. The decision. Daniel looked back at the house. Then he looked at me. "Come inside," he said. I shook my head. "I don't want to cause problems." "You're my father," he replied firmly. Then he placed a hand on my shoulder. "You belong here." For the first time in years, I felt something warm in my chest. Hope. The dinner table. When we walked inside, the room fell silent. Everyone looked at me. Emily looked particularly uncomfortable. Daniel spoke first. "This is my father," he said calmly, "and he's staying for dinner." No one argued. Slowly, conversation started again. My grandson stared at me curiously. I knelt down and handed them the toy cars. "Hi," I said with a smile. "I'm Grandpa Charles." Their eyes lit up. Within minutes, they were playing with the toys on the floor. And just like that, something beautiful began to happen. Walls started to crumble. A conversation with Emily. Later that evening, Emily approached me. She looked nervous. "Charles, I owe you an apology." I nodded politely. "I thought you didn't care about us," she said quietly. "I cared every single day," I replied. "I just didn't know how to fix things." Sometimes people hurt each other not because of hate, but because of silence. Emily sighed. "I shouldn't have spoken to you like that." "No," I said gently, "but we can start fresh." And she nodded. A new beginning. That dinner lasted hours. We talked. We laughed. We shared stories. For the first time in years, I felt like part of my family again. When I finally left that night, Daniel walked me to my car. "Dad," he said, "don't stay away so long again." I smiled. "I won't." The moral. Life is too short for pride, silence, and misunderstandings. Sometimes families fall apart not because of hatred, but because no one takes the first step to heal. That night, I learned something important. Even when a door seems closed, love can still open it again. Moral of the story. Family relationships should never be left to silence and assumptions. One honest conversation can repair years of distance. Pride separates people, but humility brings them back together.